When you're hiring, it feels amazing to finally close out a job search. But what if you could get rid of the search and just match? You can with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform. With over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Hey, hello. It's Josh Bowe. It's Pod Maverick afternoon. It's not after dark, as you can tell in my room, which is not well suited for daytime video recordings. So if you're watching, I apologize. I do not have a blackout curtain over this light. So apologies. But hey, it's me. No Kirk, because Kirk is working. I know it's MLK Day, and a lot of people have the time off around the country. Kirk, unfortunately, did not have a company holiday and has to work today. So he's dealing with his full-time real job because, again, like we like to emphasize, this is not our full-time real job. So it's just me today. So I know you guys were probably – I know these last two games have basically been yin and yang, and you'd like to see the full range of Kirk. But maybe we will get that later in the week as things calm down a little bit and we get back to normal schedules with our real day work lives. But hey, it's me. I'm one of the editors of Mavs Moneyball. Mavericks beat the Pelicans 125-120 in a bounce back effort in one of the wildest games the Mavericks have played this season. I don't know where to start. Well, I do know where to start. The Mavericks made 18 3-pointers and the Pelicans made 7. That's it. That's our show. I'll talk to you guys later, and we'll talk to you after the next game. I mean, really, I could do that. I mean, obviously, there's way more stuff to talk about, but at the end of the day, this was a variance win for the Mavericks. This was a math win. The Pelicans were doing whatever they wanted at the rim and in the paint, and it did not matter because the Mavericks had two of the most Herculean, legendary shot-making performances I've seen in a Mavericks uniform, with a combination of Kyrie and Tim Hardaway Jr. Kyrie Irving had 42 points. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 41. I want to say that's the most points Tim Hardaway Jr. has ever had in a Mavericks uniform, but I can't look that up right now. The two combined to make 12 3-pointers. They shot 24, so they shot 12 of 24 from three. All of them basically, I mean, everything was jumper. I mean, the Mavericks shot chart and the Pelicans shot chart is absolutely hilarious. The Pelicans were 26 of 32 at the rim. That's 81%. League average 66. They scored 60 points in the paint, and they made 31 free throws, and they lost by 5. if that's not an argument for the make or miss nature that the modern NBA is, I don't know what to tell you. The Pelicans made 7 3-pointers, the Mavericks made 18. The Mavericks scored 34 points in the paint. They only attempted 18 shots at the rim, made 12. And what's hilarious is the Mavericks didn't shoot a bunch of corner threes. They shot 10, which is a decent amount. They only made 2. They were 2 of 10 from corner threes. The Mavericks were 16 of 33 on above the break 3-pointers, which again, basically all Kyrie and basically all Tim Hardaway Jr., although Grant Williams hit a clutch one in the fourth quarter, as did Josh Green. So I don't know. I don't know how much you can take away from this game other than Kyrie Irving is in the middle of one of the best stretches of his life. I feel like you need to take a look at his January game log. It is absolutely outrageous. Entering this game, in the month of January, he was scoring 30 points per game, 7.5 assists, 5.5 rebounds on 50% from the floor, 49 from 3, and 88 from the free throw line. So obviously those are going to bump up a little bit. Actually, the percentages are going to go down. He shot 46% today at 33% from 3. But I mean, good Lord. I mean, he had to. He got to the free throw line a bunch, 13 to 15. Everyone got to the free throw line a bunch. There were almost 60 combined fouls in this game, which really made it really, 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 really difficult to watch. So that was unfortunate. But otherwise, I mean, the Mavericks made shots and the Pelicans didn't. It was all jumpers. It was pretty outrageous. And again, Kyrie, the thing that was outrageous was with Kyrie and Hardaway. I mean, these guys were basically making contested jumpers. Like this wasn't necessarily drive and kick, get open looks, although Mavericks certainly had their fair share of those 3-pointers. I mean, so many of these were just self-created, running off screens with a hand in your face and drilling them. And that's the kind of advantage having 2 shot makers like Kyrie and Tim Hardaway Jr. affords you, where you could play some of your worst defense, you can get bullied in the paint, and you can win by 2 possessions because you make more 3-pointers than your opponent. It was pretty crazy. Not to say that there weren't other contributions, of course. Dereck Lively back in the lineup for the first time in about 4 or 5 games was massive. He did not really do anything in the rim scoring-wise, but he had 12 rebounds. He had 7 offensive rebounds. Basically, Mavericks don't win this game if he doesn't grab the offensive rebounds he did in the fourth quarter, which led to 3-pointers. So he was absolutely huge. The difference between Jonas Valanciunas' game on Saturday with no Dereck Lively and today with Dereck Lively, I mean, it was the night and day difference. Valanciunas had 6 and 6, 6.6 rebounds. It was a non-factor in the game. In fact, the stretch that he played in the fourth quarter was the stretch that the Mavericks came back. He was a minus 22. And really, that's how the Mavericks engineered their comeback. So that was really impressive. I thought the Pelicans kind of sleptwalked to start this game. And the Mavericks really made him pay. I thought defensively there was actually a pretty good edge in the first quarter, where the Mavericks did the thing where Josh Green was picking up CJ McCollum full court like he did against Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks in that win a couple days ago. For whatever reason, they didn't do that on Saturday with all the Pelican starters out, which you would think you would want to do more, force backups to make more decisions with the ball in their hands. And they didn't. They played on their heels, and the Pelicans made them pay. This was a completely different disposition from the team. And the Pelicans, those guys that were resting in that first quarter, they totally thought that they were going to come in and just cakewalk over this team. I mean, I know that's not hardcore analysis and that's not X's and O's, but you could see in the body language that they were not ready for this to be a challenging game, and credit to the Mavericks for making it a challenge. They get up 33-17 in the first quarter. They settled in, and the Pelicans scored 42 in the second and 30 in the fourth because the Mavericks defense right now is just not there. There was no Derrick Jones Jr. Maxi Kleber played 19 minutes. I thought he did okay. He had his moments. He had 2 blocks. First time he's had more than 1 block in a game since March of last year, which I guess isn't too surprising when you consider he basically hasn't played all season. But he had his moments. I only played 19 minutes. And again, Dereck Lively was great when he could be on the floor. He had foul trouble. But again, his offensive rebounds were huge. Kyrie, I think, stepped up his defense in the fourth quarter. He played McCollum pretty tight after really, considering his offensive workload, him and Hardaway had no they had no interest in playing defense for most of this game, but they stepped it up in the fourth when it mattered. At least Kyrie did. I thought he stuck close to CJ McCollum pretty well. Got his hand in the cookie jar a little bit, poked the ball away. Didn't get a ton of steals. I think he only had, he had no steals, despite the fact that he's had, I think, 2 or more steals. He's had at least 1 steal in the last 6 games. 5 of those games, he's had at least 2 steals. He had 4 in the Memphis loss, 3 in the Knicks win, and 2 in the New Orleans loss the other night. So defensively, he's been making plays, even if, the off-ball stuff isn't always there. But yeah, I mean, it's, schematically, it's hard to say what the Mavericks did is sustainable, other than, Kyrie this is Kyrie. And, Hardaway making a bunch of jumpers is not crazy either. He's been in a little bit of a slump, but like those are what those 2 guys do. They got just enough from Lively with the 7 offensive rebounds, just enough from Josh Green, who made a good 3, a clutch 3 in the final 5 minutes, had a couple of decent drives, although he fouled a bunch. I mean, there's no point in talking about fouls because everyone fouled a bunch. So, Kid was trying to find a defensive lineup that worked and nothing really worked. And the Mavericks got a win that they really shouldn't have. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't know what else to say because this is such a crazy, shot making variance game. So this is probably going to be a short podcast, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the commercial break right now. Those of you watching live, it's just going to be a quick pause on YouTube. If you're doing that, please like and subscribe to the YouTube stream and our YouTube channel. Those of you on the audio only feed, we are creeping closer to fixing our Apple Podcasts issue. So, stay subscribed to us. Keep listening to our audio only feed if you can. And we really appreciate it. And we're going to be right back. We're going to talk about some late game coaching decision making that I thought was really key for the Mavericks to win the game and wrap up any odds and loose ends. You're listening to Pod Maverick After Dark. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. Mavericks beat the Pelicans 125-120. Talked about the ridiculous shot making from Kyrie and Tim Hardaway Jr. in the first half of the podcast and really how that was the game. That and Lively's offensive rebounding. I mean, those were basically the 2 things that got the Mavericks to win because they couldn't play defense on the other end of the floor. And thankfully, the Pelicans missed so many jumpers. The Pelicans were 7 of 23 from 3, and I don't want to say all of, not a ton of those were contested. So Mavericks might have gotten a little lucky, but it's better to be lucky than good. What wasn't lucky, though, was what Jason Kidd did at the end of the game. So the Pelicans have the ball with 17 seconds left. Mavericks are up 2. Pelicans have basically been getting an automatic 2 points every night. So you worry that, this is going to be a tie game, or at worst, if the Mavericks collapse because they're so cognizant of what New Orleans is doing at the rim, maybe they give up an open 3 at the buzzer and you lose a heartbreaking game. So interestingly enough, Jason Kidd did hack a Zion. Zion Williamson, who's a 66% free throw shooter, not automatic by any means. Believe he was shooting 5 of, I think he was 5 of 9. Yeah, he was 5 of 9 at the time. So he'd already missed 4 free throws. And Kidd had Maxi Kleber intentionally found him. Pelicans inbound the ball. They give it to Zion, who at the top of the key, who is either going to be a fulcrum for a dribble handoff for CJ McCollum or Brandon Ingram, or he's going to drive himself because he was basically just taking the ball one-on-one and scoring whenever he wanted to. He had 30 points, 12 of 17 from the floor. And Mavericks fouled him with 14 seconds left. And at first I was like, did they forget that they were in that the Pelicans were in the bonus? Because they might have just sent, the tying 2 free throws to the line. But when you think about it, Zion isn't a great free throw shooter. He missed 1, so it worked out. But if you think about it, it's not just of course you're saying it worked because he missed the free throw. But if you would have made both of them, you would have been calling Kidd an idiot. And I don't think so, because someone pointed this out on Twitter. I need to see who this was. Michael Clemenson on Twitter. Appreciate you responding to this and pointing out the logic. He said a poor free throw shooter to the line. First off, Zion's anyone who's under 70% for the season, I think, is a poor free throw shooter. who's destroying you in the paint. So basically what you're doing is you're taking control of the game and you're not letting the Pelicans dictate the end of the game. Because the Pelicans could have ended the game and shot a 3-pointer at the end. And if the Mavericks can't do a lot about that besides contest, Pelicans make the 3-point shot, you lose. So what the Mavericks did is said, no, we're going to end the game on our terms. So worst case scenario, if Zion makes both those free throws, the Mavericks have the ball in a tie game with 14 seconds left with the ability for themselves to take the final shot, and you're not going to lose the game. There wasn't a fouling Zion. The odds of you losing the game, maybe the odds of going into overtime increased, but the odds of the Mavericks losing the game by fouling Zion did not go up. Maybe you get unlucky with an offensive rebound on the second free throw, but Zion missed the first, made the second, so it worked out there. But yeah, again, Zion makes 2 free throws, you still have the ball. The Mavericks have the 2 best shot makers going with Kyrie and Hardaway. Like, you take your chances with Kyrie with the ball with 14 seconds left in a tie game. Like, that's really good odds. So, why risk giving up an open 3-pointer? Why risk letting a team that's demolished you at the paint tie the game up in the paint, maybe get fouled? Zion had a lot of N1s tonight. Didn't always convert on them, again, because he only was 6 of 11 from the free throw line. But, why risk giving up an N1 late? Why risk letting the Pelicans dribble the clock out and take the final shot? I thought it was really smart. So kudos on Kidd or whoever it was on his coaching staff that came up with that idea. That was the game when Zion missed the free throw. The Pelicans didn't have any timeouts, so they couldn't really extend the game that much because they basically had one more chance to go full court, get a bucket, and that was it. Brandon Ingram missed a 3-pointer at the buzzer for the most part, and with like a second or two left. But with the Pelicans not having timeouts, the Pelicans could not draw this game out and play the foul game because it's just impossible to go full court with that much time left and make buckets. They couldn't inbound the ball from half court. So, I think it was intentional. I mean, the way Kleba fouled him, that's why I thought they messed up, because Kleba kind of looked back at the bench like, wait, we're in the boat. Like, he's shooting free throws. Like, there was definitely a moment where I was like, wait, are the Mavericks on the same page? But if this wasn't a tactical decision and Kleba just fouled him because he thought the Mavericks had a foul to give, well, again, it's better to be lucky than good. And the Mavericks get a pretty solid win. Tie the season series with the Pelicans, which helps for tiebreaker purposes later on the season. The teams are now both 24-17. And funny enough, the Mavericks go 5-2 on a 7-game homestand, so they basically do what they're supposed to. And of course, the 2 losses are the 2 games that they should have won handedly. And their last 5 games of this homestand, they get 3 wins against full strength Wolves, Knicks, and Pelicans, who are all very good teams. And their 2 losses are Memphis without Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson, and then the Pelicans missing 3 starters. So I thought it was pretty funny how it worked out. But the Mavericks, at the end of the day, the Mavericks kind of took care of business, what they were supposed to do. 5-2 on the homestand. They've got a hellacious schedule coming up. I don't know if they're going to be lucky enough to keep getting through the next few games if Luka and Dante Exum don't play. But we'll see with Kyrie. I mean, if Kyrie wants to keep making these shots, I mean, I don't even know what other teams can do. I mean, because the Pelicans, it's not like these guys were, like I said, these were not easy shots. So kudos to the effort of those 2 guys being able to make those shots. I thought it was very, very impressive. I'm not going to lie, the way this season is going and the way that the Mavericks have survived all of these injuries. I mean, when you consider the totality of the injuries and the way that they've been staggered, where guys come back, other guys get hurt, other guys get healthy, other guy, Maxey comes back, Jones misses this game. It's been really tough. And the Mavericks are still 24-17. They're right in the thick of getting out of the play-in. They're still within earshot of home court advantage in the first round. They're 2 games back of the Clippers for 4th. But they're only, they're basically tied for the 6 and 7 spots. The Suns and the Jazz are kind of lurking. They're both played well in their last 10 games. So we'll see. And part of me is wondering, with the Mavericks surviving, they're 6-4 in their last 10, despite Luka missing multiple games and everyone else missing multiple games. I'm curious what the front office thinks. Like, it feels like a special season for Kyrie, especially. Like, do you push the chips in? Do you get more aggressive to go after a Pascal Siakam because you look and you say, oh my God, like, look how well we're surviving with all these injuries. Like, can you imagine if we get healthy? And then can you imagine if we get healthy and we add, the missing piece, quote unquote, to the front court in a Siakam or any other kind of trade the Mavericks can make? I wonder if the Mavericks, are they more motivated to make a trade because they feel like this is a potentially special season with the way Kyrie Irving's playing and his age, and you wonder, you got to make good on Kyrie while he's here and as productive as he is? Or do they think, we don't need to make a trade because we're surviving as is, and when we get Exum back, when we get Luka back, and when we get our top 6 or 7 guys are all healthy in one game, maybe they think, why should we bust this team up? Because we're playing pretty well as is. I don't know which way they're going to lean. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's people in the front office that think, man, we need to make, like, if we can make a move, we could make a run here. Because it's really impressive that the way the Mavericks have kind of held in the fight right now. Obviously, the next few games, we will see. Maybe that puts a damper on those thoughts. The Mavericks go on the road to play the Lakers and the Warriors, which both those teams are scuffling, so not necessarily the hardest games in the world. But then they play Boston, they play Phoenix, they play Sacramento, Orlando, Minnesota, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, the Knicks again, the Thunder again. Those are all within the next month. That's a lot of difficult games. A lot of those are on the road as well. So we're going to know by the end of February, I think, what this Mavericks team is made of. Hopefully, if everyone can get healthy, because it's hard to evaluate the team when everyone's hurt. So we'll see. I've talked for about 20 minutes. I don't really feel like talking anymore because I had to talk again last night, and I feel like I used up all my fan energy to talk about that crappy game. But everyone should be really happy about this one. This was a really fun game. Kudos to the fans that made it to the arena with the DFW winter freeze that's going on and all the snow falling and the cold temperatures. We really appreciate, I'm sure the Mavs really appreciate the crowd that was there, because I was worried it was going to be a little dead and the energy in the building wouldn't be there. But it got surprisingly loud there for the second half. So, also afternoon game makes it weird. I think we saw the first quarter was definitely, these teams were out of sorts. So good for the Mavericks to find a way. Again, all the kudos to Kyrie Irving and Tim Hardaway Jr. playing basically 2 of the best games of their seasons together. Just remarkable shot making. I don't know if it's sustainable. I don't know if you can look at it and say, let's do that again in the next game, but they'll take it. You take everyone you can get while the team's this injured. So I'm Josh Bowe for Pod Maverick After Dark. Go to our site, MavsMoneyball.com, to look at recaps, post-game reactions, all that good stuff. Hopefully me and Kirk will be back for the next game against the Los Angeles Lakers, who play on Wednesday, January 17th. That'll be an ABC nationally televised game. So hopefully Luka is back so we can get Luka versus LeBron, because that's always a fun one. So again, I'm Josh Bowe for Pod Maverick. You guys take care. If you're in the DFW area, please stay warm and stay safe, and we will talk to you guys later.